Shalom, shalom. We back at it again with part two. I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Brakah, Quadash. And double honors to the elder apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well through the Spirit. And a mighty shalom to the hopeful elect scattered four corners of the earth, Lord willing as a whole, y'all continue to endure and be sincere in sound doctrine in the same Spirit. Shalom to the Aqua, the believers of his faith and his truth. Lord willing that you continue to pursue your love, which is being a loving and silent and virtuous wife. And Lord willing, Yahweh Hashem Al Shai have mercy on the other brothers and sisters that's not in the faith. We're going to continue in the Isaiah, the 34th chapter, getting understanding, dealing with this prophecy of the judgment, the indignation, and destructions and the nukes that's going to take place, especially towards Babylon, America. So Lord willing you edified, and Lord willing you grow in fear in Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, and your movements change, because we're getting closer. We're not getting further, we're getting closer. So let's get into it. So if you was watching part one, I believe we went through verse 1 to verse 5. So this is Isaiah 34, and we're going to read 6 and 7. Yahweh is filled with blood. It is made fat with fatness, and with the blood of lambs and goats, with the fat of kidneys of rams. For Yahweh have a sacrifice in Basra, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea. And the unicorns shall come down with them, and bullocks with the bulls in their land shall be soaked with blood, in their dust made fat with fatness. So this is going into Yahweh's sacrifice, right? Which is the judgment slaughter. What did it say in verse 6 down at the bottom? It says, for Yahweh have a sacrifice in Basra, in a great slaughter. Basra is the capital state, right? Which, in the ancient time, but what is the modern capital? It would be America. Revelation 17:18 points you to the North Country. Jeremiah was speaking about the North Country, right? America is their capital for wickedness, right? I want to get another one because it says sacrifice. Let's go to the book of Zephaniah, the first chapter, and let's read 6 to maybe 6 to 8. It says, in them that are turned back from Yahweh, and those that have not sought Yahweh, nor inquire for him, hold thy peace at the presence of Yahweh Shemar Shai power, for the day of Yahweh is at hand, for Yahweh hath prepared a sacrifice. He hath bid his guests, right? He called them, right? And by name, because you 2/3 are called, right? You wicked, right? Really, the real least, those that are least in power and those that are not in power, from Esau to these other nations, whatever nation is in America, when it falls, you're going to be consumed. It says, and it shall come to pass in the day of Yahweh's sacrifice, that I will punish the princes and the king's children, and all such as are clothed with strange apparel. Come on, right? The day of the Lord is going to be a sacrifice, right? So when we go back to Isaiah 34 and 7, it has said, let's read it again, verse 7. Salaki, that's Jeremiah. 34 and 7, it says, and the unicorn shall come down with them, and the bullocks with the bulls, and their land shall be soaked with blood, and their dust made fat with fatness. The unicorns, the bullocks, and the bulls represents the mighty men, the leaders and armies of Edom, right? They will be destroyed regardless of strength, even though we know majority of the army is going to go to the east, right? But when the government fall, like the whole, really when the elites is hiding in the bunkers, it's over, right? It's Jeremiah 50 and 27. Should I go up? Okay, I'll start at verse 26. It says, come against her from the uttermost border. Open her storehouses, cast her up as heaps, and destroy her utterly. Let nothing of her be left. Slay all her bullocks. Let them go down to the slaughter. Woe unto them, for their day is come, the time of their visitation. Right? So you got unicorns, bullocks, and bulls. So it represents mighty men, leaders, and armies of Edom. This said bullocks, so these would be the leaders. But we know the elite are going to be hiding in the caves, in the bunkers, right? And the Lord is going to put a spirit on the elite, right? And like what happened with Israel, like we had certain kings, like Jehoiakim in the time of Ezekiel, the first chapter. That king became captive in the land of Babylon. Zedekiah, if he would have surrendered, he would have been captive in Babylon. But he tried to flee. He got his eyes gouged, and he still became a captive, a slave in Egypt. In Babylon, Salaki, right? So the top leaders, the elite, they're going to be servants. The less Edomites, four corners of the earth, they're nothing. you know, they're not really getting the benefits on this side of the kingdom. And that should even show you other people, especially you, Jake, to understand that Esau don't even care for his own. Right? So now let's go back to Isaiah 34 and let's read verse 8. And this is what it reads. It says, Salaki 34 and verse 8. For it is the day of Yahweh's vengeance, in the year of recompense going to repay, for the controversy of Zion, right? So the day of vengeance is going into Yahushai's return, right? That the Lord's vengeance is tied with the elect's salvation. The destruction of Esau's kingdom, rulership, his heaven, is tied to our salvation, right? Let's get Isaiah 63. And let's read verse 4. But I'll start at verse 3. It says, I have trodden a winepress alone, and of the people there was none with me. For I will tread them in my anger, and trample them in my fury. And their blood shall be sprinkled upon my garments, and I will stain all my raiment. Right? You're just going to have blood on his hand. Not literal, because Yahushai is a king. So he's going to have thousands and thousands of angels plus the elect, which he could just give an order and it's going to do. The chariots, he can just give an order and it's going to do, right? It says, for the day of vengeance is in my heart, in the year of my redeem is come. You have to know the Lord has it in his heart right now, right? While everybody just shaking and jiving, enjoying themselves, the Lord, vengeance is in his heart, is in his mind. In the NLT, it says, for the time has come for me to avenge my people, to ransom them from their oppressors. And that's the elect. The people truly on his side dealing with the 144,000 and the rest of the elect. Right? He's going to avenge his elect. Let's get Luke 21. I think this is what I was thinking. I'm thinking of this one. This is Luke 21, verse 22. It says, for these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. Right? And we even know, even when the temple fell, right, those things came to pass. Jake didn't know what the hell to do. Right? This is why we take heed to the warnings. Now, I don't know about y'all, right? But the real believers are taking heed to these warnings. Right? So just like what we read in Isaiah 34, verse 8, where they went and said, the year of recompense for the controversy of Zion. The controversy of Zion goes into all nations touched Israel and enslaved the Israelites and claimed their land. Yahweh will pay them. Let me just go to this classic in Zechariah. This is Zechariah chapter 2 and verse 8. It says, for thus saith Yahweh of hosts, after the glory have he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. For he that toucheth you toucheth the apple of his eye. We're precious. What's another example of the apple of the eye, right? The law is supposed to be the apple of our eye. We are the apple of Yahweh Shem Yahushai's eye. Let me see if they'll give me the understanding of this metaphor in a better sense. Let me see if they're going to say it. The phrase apple of my eye refers in English to something or someone that one cherishes above all others. Come on, this is separate from all nation, right? It signifies a person who holds a special place in someone's heart. Come on, man. In the Lord's mind, we the apple of his eye. Let's go to Joel, the 3rd chapter. We even read, I think, verse 1 and 2 in video 1. This is Joel chapter 1. This is Joel chapter 3. I'm getting excited. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, and I will also gather all nations, and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations, and parted my land. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for a harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they might drink, right? And you gotta really just think. The nations is doing some cruel things to our children, to the women, and to the men, right? Let's see if we can get this one, because I know if we go to Ezekiel 25 and 8, it says, thus saith Yahweh Shem Yahushai power, because that Moab and Seir do say, Seir is the Edomites, behold, the house of Jacob is like unto all the heathen, right? Let's actually go into that. Where is it? Right. It's a verse. Salaki, y'all. Let me read this. It might be in verse. It might be in this chapter. This is Ezekiel chapter. Nope. Salaki. I think I know which one it is now. Ezekiel chapter 35 in verse 2. Son of man, set thy face against Mount Seir and prophesy against it, right? It's not the place, it's the people. Who is the people of Mount Seir? The Edomites. And say unto it, thus saith Yahweh by Shem Yahushai power, behold, on Mount Seir I am against thee, and I will stretch out my hand against thee, and I will make thee most desolate, right? Eventually, this is going to lead into 2nd Ezra 6 and 9. Right? Esau is going to be the end of the age, the end of this world. I will lay thy cities waste, and thou shalt be desolate, and thou shalt know that I am Yahweh, because thou hast a perpetual hatred, and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, especially in the time of when the Babylonians came into the land. They helped them siege. That's why when you go into Psalms 137, verse 7, they said, raise it, right? When Babylon was coming against Israel, which goes into destroy it, watch it collapse, right? And in the time of their iniquity had an end, right? Now you could keep on reading this, Um, I don't know if it's 10. I don't want to stay too long on this part, right? I don't want to stay too long on that part. Um, excuse me, family, Salaki. Um, well, maybe I might get it on. Maybe I might get it later. But I just wanted to cover the point of the controversy of Zion, that all nations touched Israel and enslaved us, from Babylon, the Persian Medes, to the Greeks, the Romans, Moab, Ishmael, the Edomites again when America got established, even before the time, like probably what, the 1300s or like around the 1400s, right? All nations. It's not one nation that touched our spoil. It's not one nation that didn't have a hand in us being spoiled, right? Lord willing, you are getting edified. This is Isaiah 34, verse 9 and 10. It says, "In the streams thereof shall be turned into pitch, in the dust thereof into brimstone, in the land thereof shall become burning pitch, and it shall not be quenched night nor day. The smoke thereof shall go up forever. From generation to generation it shall lie waste. None shall pass through it forever and ever." Now, before, just giving sense, now it is saying this, but that forever is not talking about forever and ever and ever like the outcast, right? Because you got other verses where later on in this chapter, the dragons, right, certain foul vultures is going to come back to this land, and they're going to eat, they're going to have a feast in this land, right? So this is Babylon the Great, which is America. This is a prophecy of their post-destruction. So if it's already in the scriptures and the prophets spoke about it, didn't come to pass, guess what? Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3, it will come to pass, right? It will. So it's going to be done by nuclear fire, and it will turn its rivers and land into burning pitch, right? When you go to Revelations, the 18th chapter, in verse 8 to 10, it says, "Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is Yahweh Shemashai power, who judgeth her. And the kings of the earth, who have committed a fornication and lived deliciously with her, shall bewail her in lamentation for her, when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon," right? Because America is a great city, right? "That mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come," right? The Lord just need 1 hour. The Lord is going to level this place in 60 minutes. Isn't that ironic? It's a TV show in America called 60 Minutes. And Babylon's going to be destroyed in 60 minutes, right? Let's get Revelations, the 19th chapter, in verse 3. "And again, they all Alleluia, and her smoke rose up forever and ever." In the NLT, it says, "And again their voices rang out, Praise Yahweh. The smoke from that city ascends forever and ever," right? It's going to be burning for a point of time, right? So no one will ever inhabit America again after the destruction. Nobody will. But just because of that point, just to back it up, it's not going to be burning just forever, right? I believe at the end of the chapter, Isaiah 34, Let me see which one we want. I think starting at verse 13. Start at 12. It says, "And they shall call the nobles thereof to the kingdom, but none shall be there, and all her princes shall be nothing, and the thorns shall come up in her palaces, nettles and brambles in the fortresses thereof, and it shall be an habitation of dragons, in a court a court for owls. The wild beasts of the desert shall also meet with the wild beasts of the island, and the satyr shall cry to his fellow, and the street's owl also shall rest there, and find for herself a place of rest. There shall the gray owl make her nest, and lay and hatch, and gather under her shadow. There shall the vultures also be gathered, every one with her mate." Right? So, just giving a point for those right there, right? I think I missed a verse. When you go to back up to verse 11, "But the cormorant and the bittern shall possess it, and the owl also and the raven shall dwell in it, and he shall stretch out upon it the line of confusion, in the stones of emptiness, and they shall call the nobles thereof to their kingdom, but no one shall be there, and our princes shall be nothing." Right after Babylon's destruction, right, with the ICBM missiles, all the nukes, the 200,000, right, it's gonna only be a desert, and creatures and unclean animals will live there. Right? So, if it's gonna burn forever and ever, how is these creatures going to live there? Revelations 18:2, "And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is habited, and become the habitation of devils." The devils is going into what we just read, like lizards, serpents, Komodo dragons, all different certain type of reptiles. You got certain type of fowls, right? In the hold of every foul spirit, in a cage of every unclean and hateful bird, which we were already reading in Isaiah, the 34th chapter, right? So this is a symbol of complete desolation, right? Call Allah Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, right? Going back to Isaiah 34:9-10, right? No one will ever inhabit America again after the destruction. Plain and simple, right? We already read Isaiah 34, verse 11-15. I guess we might as well just finish it out. Let's go back to Isaiah 34, verse 16 and 17, the last two verses. It says, "Seek ye out of the book of Yahweh," which is from Genesis to 2 Maccabees, Genesis to Revelation, the whole volume of the book, "and read. No one of these shall fail." So anything that's dealing with a prophecy, a parable, or dark saying, right? Things that are supposed to come to pass, things that are supposed to happen, they shall not fail. None shall want her mate, for her mouth it have commanded, and his spirit it have gathered them. And he have cast a lot of them, and his hand have divided it unto them by line. They shall possess it forever, from generation to generation, and shall they dwell therein. So the book of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, again, just saying it again, because it said, "Seek ye out of the book of Yahweh and read," right? This is something that you should do. When the Lord is telling us to do something, we should do it. If we go into the Hebrew word seek, is darash, goes into investigate. One of the examples of seek, right? The biblical usage is investigate, right? So the book of Yahweh Shemashai is the Bible, just like he told Ezekiel to eat the roll, right? Just like he told John the Revelator in Revelations 10, eat the book, eat the roll, eat the scroll. It's going to be sweet and bitter, right? So all prophecies will come to pass. None will fail. Let's go to Habakkuk or Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 3. Right? I'm gonna read the NLT. It says, this vision is for a future time. It describes the end and it will be fulfilled. If it seems slow in coming, wait patiently for it will surely take place. It will not be delayed. So everything has a point. In the KJV, for the vision is yet for appointed time. Everything has appointed time to when they're going to be fulfilled. Right? When Yahushua came on the scene, that was for that appointed time. Right? So Yahweh divided Edom's portion of judgment, and it will stand forever. Right? So the things that the Lord had the prophets, speak of or prophesy about, some of them came to pass, and there's many other things that are supposed to come to pass, and it will be fulfilled. So Isaiah, the 34th chapter. Let's go back to it. Let me take this off. Right? The Most High's wrath against nations, starting with Esau, right, is a judgment prophecy focused on Edom, the so-called white man and woman, right? But it extends to all nations, right? Because the nations are the so-called angels on this side for Edom's kingdom. When you look at Revelations, the 12th chapter, when Yahushua is fighting with the devil and his angels, the angels of Esau is those that are at that round table in Psalms 83, right? The tabernacles of Edom, Ishmael, the Moabites, the Amalekites, such and such and such, right? Those are his angels, the allies in the other nations. Babylon the Great, which is America, is the main stage of this destruction, right? What is it? Jeremiah 50 and 33. Right? This is the main attention, right? It says, this is Jeremiah 50 and 33. Thus saith Yahweh of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah, the northern and southern kingdom were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast, and they refused to let them go. What captivity is the southern and northern kingdom in together? Right? That is the north country. I was looking for something. Right? The north country. So Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai will execute vengeance for what was done to the Israelites. Right? And who's gonna benefit from the first resurrection? And that's gonna be the elect of Israel. So nuclear destruction will leave America uninhabitable, right? Nobody ain't gonna be able to live here forever. And this is the day of Yahweh's vengeance, in the year of recompense for Zion, which is payback, repay. Right? So our salvation is connected to Esau's destruction. Esau's destruction is connected to our salvation. Lord willing, this is edifying through the Spirit. Lord willing, you followed along. And even if you did, you're having a hard time, just pause the video and get every precept that came out and read it for yourself. Right? Understand. And hey, even get the old history of certain points when Esau went off, especially in the time of the siege when Babylon was overtaking us. Right? And you get different examples, especially in Ezekiel, I think, the 7th, maybe the 6th, the 7th, and 8th chapter. But you have to dabble into history to even know, right? But I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash, Brakati Yahweh, Brakati Yahushai, and double honors to the elder apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well through the Spirit. And a mighty shalom to the hopeful elect in the same Spirit. Lord willing, as a whole, that y'all continue in sound doctrine and in the same Spirit. Shalom to the Aquath, believers of this faith and this truth. Lord willing, that you continue to pursue your lot, being a loving and silent and virtuous wife. And Lord willing, Yahweh Shai has mercy on the other brothers and sisters that is not in the faith. So I want to say shalom, abba, abba. Till next time.